Hello. This short video begins with an overview of what we've examined in the Living Lab so far. A reminder about the Liesbeek River, which flows from the eastern slopes of Table Mountain for about 9 kilometers before it reaches the confluence of another and then flows into the sea near Cape Town. We looked at a short section of the canalized part of this river, no more than 500 meters in length. It is surrounded by a green belt with little more than 50 to 80 meters of land that is tree-lined or open area that's used extensively by the public and the neighborhood for recreation. Most of our conversations and the feedback focused on what we could do to intervene. We came up with various ideas about how to improve water quality using litter traps, filtration systems, and by slowing the flow in altering the hydraulics of the river, which could ultimately help to support habitat and biodiversity. But what if biodiversity is a key entry point for connecting people to an urban river system? Here is one example of efforts by local residents who have planted indigenous plants and vegetables along the river to improve the environment and also offer a food source. Bringing people closer to the river is another important step in building this connection between nature and society. A small intervention, such as a weir, can help breathe oxygen into the water as it falls and mixes with the air. It is difficult to make an objective summary of all our conversations, but here's one attempt. It began with a concern about how we connect people and nature. It's shown here in the center where the two plugs join. Any intervention should begin with interested and affected people who are key stakeholders and who, at the same time, need to learn how to work with nature. People do care and want to participate, but the entry point for getting involved is not always clear. Now we can turn to some of the realities and challenges of putting interventions in place. I interviewed the manager of the Liesbeek Maintenance Project, and I found him working with his team along the river. At the time, they were removing croft weed from the stretch of the river about 1 kilometer downstream.
All right, my name is Sabelo Memani. I'm the Liesbeek Maintenance Project team manager. I am responsible for the daily duties of the guys that they oversee along the 9-kilometer stretch of the river, and these things include a basic or regular maintenance program where we take out alien invasive species as well as try and put back indigenous plant species in order to allow for the re-establishment of new plants or indigenous plants, which then allows for a corridor along the river or movement of animal species along the river. Okay, the biggest challenges of this job is that we're an NPO and we mainly dependent on donor funding, and like any donor funded organization, we do experience glitches with funding or the available funding that's available to actually see out some of the projects that we wanna do. But on daily basis, I think I would reference to general waste that's been generated along the central business districts that occur along the river, which results to tons and tons of waste that gets dumped in the river. In my mind, a perfect functioning river would obviously have to be people inclusive, because we normally, when we're talking about environmental work or environmental related things, we want to exclude people. For me, it would be a great pleasure to actually see people that live around the Liesbeek experiencing it and finding joy and interacting with it. And I think one of the things that we maybe might have to introduce in a long term is things that, for example, awareness programs where we call out to the public to say, we have this night spot that we've beautified over the years, come and enjoy it. You can come have a picnic, for example, where we are at the moment near Frog, to actually experience the environment around here. I mean, there's plenty of fauna and flora that's exciting here, particularly bird life and insect life, and those are things that I would probably want to pull in the public to actually come and enjoy here. I mean, the space is quite beautiful, and there's the background of the mountain, the nice breeze that you can't have more, I mean, in an urban context.
And so finally, There are some obvious limitations to examining a complex living lab in this way. But even with these limitations, you should be prompted to ask questions about how to transform an urban river. The kinds of questions often begin when you reflect on what makes you feel uncomfortable, confused, or in recognizing that something is missing. And when we meet together in our final living lab, we'll explore these questions further. Thanks for watching.